Welcome into Cornhusker Connection. I'm Brandon Shanahan, joined as always by the fellas Tyler Sprinkel and Brooke Byrne. Real quick before we dive in, if you're listening to this, just like the video, subscribe to the channel. It doesn't hurt you at all. It helps us a ton. Also, even if you don't like it, drop your meanest hate comment in the comments. YouTube doesn't know the difference. It helps us out. You're interacting. That's fine. How we doing, fellas?
Could be better.
Yeah.
Could be better.
Could look stupid like Tyler wearing that dumbass hat, but
He was the only one I had down here, dude. All right.
Yeah. Just had it laying around.
Yeah, man. Ugh.
How many hats do you think you own, Tyler?
$15.
Okay.
I got as much as fucking Grant.
I have an omission.
Uh-oh.
The funniest hat I own was from like the 2012 College World Series.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Florida hat.
Florida?
Yeah.
Yuck. Hey,
it was like
Pete.
Dude, it was the Pete team. It was with like Zunino,
Harrison Bader.
I don't know. Yes.
Uh-oh.
That era.
Yes. Goated team. Did we win it all that year?
Very. Can't remember. I
don't think so.
At least got to the ship, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
2012. I'm trying to remember. That would have been.
That year may be wrong. I don't know, but it's been a while.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. All right.
I'll forgive you.
Yeah. It's very big of you to forgive him for his hat.
Yeah.
The day after my birthday, I'll be the bigger guy. I'll be the bigger man.
I don't forgive
you.
A
new leaf. I turn a new leaf.
Did you have a good birthday, Tyler?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Made some good food.
You did, or?
Oh, okay. I made the steaks and a pan sauce, and Sophia made some mac and cheese and some broccoli. Banana cream pie action. It was pretty good.
Gross.
Watch Christmas movies all day.
Ooh.
Actually, I have a question for you guys. Sophia thought this was the craziest thing in the world. Did your parents let you skip school on your birthday?
Sometimes. As I got older, probably a little more, but...
No, I mean, my birthday was always the first week of school, so that was...
Yeah, Brandon never could. Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, I just told her that growing up, I always skipped school on my birthday, and she's like, what? Every time? Yeah, that's kind of like my birthday.
I wouldn't say always, but like a good amount, I would say. Yeah.
I mean, my parents let me skip school for stuff like the state basketball tournament and state wrestling tournament, so...
Yeah. Shout out Luke Doyle.
Like, yeah.
LD.
Me and Luke Doyle and I went every fucking year to state basketball. That shit was electric always.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, Tyler's another year older. Nebraska's still just as far away from a bowl game. Just some quick backstory. I had to work. It was Saturday afternoon, so I didn't get to watch the game live, so I just DVR'd it. So I didn't, and like now figuring it with the baby's bedtime, I didn't get done watching until like 9:30. I shouldn't have watched it. I should have just checked the score and gotten my day back. My entire day was around this football game. Literally from the day I woke up, I was trying to figure out how to stay off social media, how to silence my notifications so I don't get any spoilers. And then, like, over the course of 5 hours, ended up watching every single play of that game. I was like, what a fucking waste.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get the result we wanted. But I do think we looked better in areas that have been really, really bad, specifically on the perimeter. Like, I felt like we did a decent job blocking, which is saying a lot since we haven't really been able to touch anybody on the perimeter, blocking-wise. So that was good. Emmett was going crazy. He looked so explosive in the first half. And then, as we do, don't make adjustments or we lose that momentum and we just kind of falter in the second half. But we did lose to a punter. I'm going to die on that hill that USC's punter is fucking elite. The way he was flipping the field is pretty
I was also not locked in because of a wedding this weekend, so things like that I did not notice.
Dude, he was just booming punts. Like, they would be on their 20-yard line. He'd boom it to the the other 20. Like it was just
Damn.
crazy flipping field.
So he's
position.
like an NFL guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, and it also doesn't help when we're fair catching punts inside the 7-yard line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
or the one where he caught it on the 5 and fair caught it, or when there was a guy literally standing in his face and he tried to run. That was fun.
Going from DeMornay Pearsonell and guys like Amir Abdullah, who returned kicks as a freshman, to what we have now in our return game is just like, it's so infuriating. But I mean, god damn.
We've come so far though, because last year we were just like, please just catch the ball, and now we're like, okay, catch it and then run.
Well, and then
that is true.
For non-Husker fans, then we have our second-round draft pick, Cam Taylor-Britt, like catching a ball in the end zone and then going to get tackled and throw it out for a safety against Illinois. And we're like, I mean, that's not a nobody. That's a second-round draft pick and a starter in the NFL doing that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, crazy stuff here in Nebraska.
Fun. It's really fun.
Yeah,
always something different every day.
That is the funny part, that if a Nebraska like just started tuning in this year, they'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this punt return?" But like Tyler said, it is still much better than last year somehow.
It's huge.
So that's unbelievable. And I don't know. Now the special team stuff is just like mental, because it's like, what are you doing catching a ball inside the 5-yard line? That's
just,
or even last week there was some funky thing where ended up fielding it right at the goal line instead of just letting it roll into the end zone. Just dumb stuff.
My whole thing is like, is that not like day one stuff as like a punt returner? Like that's like you put your heels on the 10, as I understand it, and then if it is over your head or you have to take a step back, you just let it go.
Unless there was like some scouting report on the punter, like this guy kills shit on the 2-yard line. I don't know if it's something like that, or if they just weren't paying attention and catching shit like that. But even if he is really good at that, doesn't mean he can do it every time. So make him do it to you at least once, and then figure it out from there. Yeah. But that's just some of that stuff we don't really know about, like scouting reports on different players. So again, always trying to look on the bright side of things. I'm hoping that that's why they were catching them inside the 10.
Yeah. But as Tyler alluded to, a lot, like if you're like Husker Twitter, they were complaining that the offense looked exactly the same. I saw improvements, and it's not like Dana Holgerson's going to come in and flip the offensive playbook. Like he's really just working in the margins, I'd imagine, for these next couple of weeks. And I saw improvement in the margins. The perimeter blocking what was fine. Dylan got into a bit of a rhythm. Was able to throw the ball past the line of scrimmage, believe it or not, and it worked out pretty well. They targeted the shit out of Jamal Banks. Said, "We're going to try to make you catch a ball, motherfucker, whether you're open or not. You can find any bit of separation or not." And that worked out pretty well. He had some opportunities, had some missed calls on the defensive side against Jamal Banks, but overall, I'm happy with the offense. I didn't expect like a night and day difference, but like those margins that we've complained about, the perimeter blocking, the run game. Emmett Johnson looked explosive. Well, and what I kind of want to get started with is it seemed like for the first time this year we're seeing heavy Emmett Johnson and Dante Dowdell as a clear number 2 workhorse guy. Did you guys pick up on that too?
I didn't. I thought it was more so Emmett came out there and he looked explosive. So they're just like, keep giving him the fucking ball until he stops. And then again, Dowdle had one fucking guy to beat, waited till the last second to try to make a move on him instead of making him take an angle, and just ran right into him basically. So that was fun. Just shit like that is just still so infuriating.
I have a take on just like, again, like the situational flaws with like Rule and staff is you have guys like Signetti who are recruiting guys that have tons of productions before they have come to Indiana. So like guys who have been the guy at other places and know how to get theirs without having to be told or like coached up on that. And then at Nebraska, we take broken players with huge stars by their names coming out of high school, and we try to fix them and give them opportunity. Like Isaiah Nayor has had opportunities at Texas, at Wyoming, and he's never panned out anywhere. So it is infuriating to me as a fan why we would take a chance on that guy that has just never proved anywhere that he could put it all together. And it's kind of the same thing with Dowdell. Like if he could play, he would probably still be at Oregon. He's a little younger, so he could flip a switch and you know, break through in a year or two. But to just for Satterfield and Rule and whoever is making those decisions to just blindly, keep him at the RB1 position all year after what he's put out there is just asinine. I don't know if you guys feel differently, but that's just where I'm at.
I get exactly what you're saying. But I do think Dowdell has shown at times his ability to be a really good running back in college. I think it's just a consistency of continuing to do that, continuing to hit the holes hard. And you don't always have to seek contact. You can make a guy miss every once in a while without having to try to run him over, I think is his biggest thing. But I do understand what you're saying. From what I hear, it was Satterfield went out and picked Banks and Nair. I don't know if that's just an after the fact thing that it was like, oh, well, these guys are paying it out, blaming it on Satterfield. Yeah. But I mean, going into this year, you're thinking, well, our receiving core last year, yeah, they were all hurt, but anything's better than them. And now we're finding out that, yeah, it's not always the case.
But again, it's what Holgerson said this week. It's having a love affair with some of your players or, is going to get you killed. Like Isaiah Nair hasn't made a block in 10 weeks, and yet he's still out there, and we're drawing up plays for him to get the ball. It's so fucking frustrating because I don't think that guy could play at fucking UNK.
Yeah, I mean that's honest. Yeah, and that's a good observation. I would say I think hindsight's 2020, but I do think that there is two different models of like we're going to go after these guys because we think their potential is high. They just they got hurt at Texas, sitting behind like NFL guys there. Weird situation. Jamal Banks was at Wake Forest, and he had fine production, but like once he gets to Nebraska, Dylan Raiola, then he's going to pop off. Where like as you mentioned, Curtis Kennedy is first he's coming over with a bunch of guys that he knows intimately from JMU, but even the guys that he recruited outside of JMU, they're very productive players. And I mean, hindsight's 2020, but now you look at those guys and like, oh yeah, well they did that stuff. They did perform at high levels. They were 1,000-yard receivers, albeit in the MAC, albeit lower level competition, yada yada yada. But that stuff still translates. Is that kind of production? I will be curious to see what their approach is this year, especially, I mean, because you're going to have to recruit more wide receivers. You're going to have to go back into the transfer portal and try to hit on another one or two there. So it'll be interesting to see what they have in mind. Hopefully Dana Holgerson's driving that boat. Certainly not Marcus Satterfield driving that boat anymore, but yeah.
Good Lord, man. He's had a bunch of swing and misses here.
On that note, how do you feel about, who was it? Buford and who was the other guy that said that they want to come back?
Jamari Butler.
Oh, Butler. Okay. Yeah. How do you feel about
like
that?
Butler coming back. Buford, I'm not as ecstatic about, but couldn't hurt, I would say, an experienced guy.
Yeah, the depth. Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, if you look at the beginning of the season, everybody's saying Tommy Hill's going to leave this year. But
dude,
now
talk about a guy that's fallen off a cliff.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. I love Jamari Butler coming back. I mean, that's a no doubt home run. Buford, he's had his moments on both ends of the spectrum this year for sure. I'll be curious to see what they want to do there because I just don't think he's proven to be a good outside corner. I love getting him downhill in more of like a nickel or a safety role, but outside he's had some real vulnerabilities. And again, another year development. Trust the coaching staff to do that. I would say I think it's a plus that they're focused on coming back as Huskers next year. I think that says a lot about the culture and the program and the trajectory. Where like even 2 games into the season, like, oh yeah, we want to be back here and with the N on the helmet next year. Not even try to explore other NIL options or maybe lower the level of competition so you put better film out there or whatever. I think that's all good news. So I'm always in the corner of anybody who wants to be a Husker. That's
Yeah, I agree.
for better or
It's
for
just
worse.
tough
I
to look at guys
do
like
I do think
Gifford
there
and stuff.
yeah, and that's the thing is I do think there is a mental block or something tangible like an X's and an O's or a physical thing, but there's something with this group that was here before Rule got there that when something goes wrong, they get so tight and
Mm-hmm.
like even when we start the game up 7-0. Like I was listening to this guy, Mike Schaefer or something talk about it. It's like Husker fans and even the players feel like they're tense the entire time, even like when things are going well. And I don't know what that is, but you know, in my mind, maybe that's like maybe we need a reset on like players. Bring in more younger guys, give them more opportunity, and not to say kick them out, but like, hey, time for you to move on and pursue other options.
Yeah.
But there's something weird. It feels like a curse, but you feel it. You feel it in games. We're never comfortable.
Yeah. I do also want to talk about how Rule was saying, at some point these guys just got to make plays. And that was just like the picture perfect game for guys not making plays. All of the balls straight through guys' hands, bouncing up right in front of them, being caught by USC and going for a first down, a crucial first down. So I do think that there's something to what you're saying, just kind of hitting the reset button, get the because I don't hate those guys, but getting the
No, but
stink out of the program, it's tough.
look who had the best game as a Husker on Saturday. Sierra Wright. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
you could argue like he wanted his get back against his former team, but like that guy played with no fear, let it all rip. It's like he was having it like from what I saw, it looked like he was having so much fucking fun out there
Mm-hmm.
and just making plays. Almost like a carefree attitude. I mean,
And he's been awesome all year too. It's
and
not even just like he popped
he's
off
a
on a random Saturday.
yeah, and he's a guy who hasn't been here. So I think there might be something to that.
Yeah, it's sad to see, sad to say, but I think you're right.
Yeah. And I heard another show, I think the Herd at Morning show kind of talk about like there's such a deep sense to loyalty and there's such a fine line to where like you need guys like Gifford and Hartzog and the 2 big dudes up front to kind of set the tone and the culture. And I think they've done a fine job of that. But then there's also like, are those really, and not so much Nash and Ty, but like on the back end of that defense, are they really the best guys to be out there? Are they making enough plays? Are they competing at a high enough standard when it needs to happen? I don't
No.
know. I know this team's also it's got players on both ends of the spectrum, freakishly old, a lot of seniors, and also a ton of freshmen. They have like 70 freshmen on this roster. So it's not even like you have a whole lot of experience depth to go into it. So I mean, everything's trending up, but yeah, there's just so many times, especially Saturday, where I'm looking at guys like Gifford and Hartzog. Like, my God, I don't understand why it's not clicking and why you're always on my television screen when something disastrous is going.
Yeah.
I
It's also going to be really interesting because we have to drop 30 guys. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I think
Yeah.
that'll essentially end the walk-on program.
Yeah.
I mean, 105 guys is still not nothing, but like it's all the Western Nebraska kids. maybe a few of like the local Omaha kids, but it almost feels like if you don't have like a star next to your name or you're not like a sought after recruit, like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I hope that just doesn't keep them from recruiting Nebraska. Like at least seeing what these guys have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different beast. Especially when you only have so many guys that you can bring on, like actually a hard limit. It really kind of limits what you can do. I mean, I got to imagine Nebraska's still going to be a focus. I think they had somebody out of Bell West also commit somewhere else. So shout out Bell West for keeping it in state. We love Bellevue West on the show.
Huge Bell West guys.
Real quick, I also saw Bell West. Speaking of Bellevue West, this is the Bellevue West show with Brandon, the Bellevue West guy. They have the Charger lightning bolt on their helmet. What the fuck's up with that, dude? They have such a
The
cool.
Thunderbolt.
They
have such a
They've,
cool brand.
Thunderbird.
Yeah, the Thunderbirds rock. That's such a good brand. And they're like, you know what? We actually
They
just want to
play
be like the
around a lot.
Chargers. All right.
I mean, that's not like a normal thing. They do a lot of different jerseys, and that's kind of their thing. Is
all right. Well, that's good to hear because and this guy's commitment graphic, it was all the Thunderbolt. I'm like, is this what they're? But whatever. Okay, well that was the Bellevue West segments. Thank you for enjoying me there. Another bright spot. We've made a handful of field goals now. Feel pretty good about that.
We're back all the way back.
It's nice to be able to breathe a sigh of relief when we send the field goal unit out there. But yeah, I think it's Hull's job to lose now.
Now,
yeah, I mean, what do we do with
learns to speak Looper.
I mean, you hate to see that happen to an Omaha kid who was a 5-star kicker, and for people who don't know, he went 5 for 5 in the state title game, hitting one from 50 in Memorial Stadium in late November, which is not easy to do. You feel for the kid, but it's like, one, the best ability is availability, and two, it's who's better. And right now, it's not him.
Sad.
Yeah, bummer for him, but I mean that's the whole shtick of bringing in a guy like John Hull, who could be kicking elsewhere, by the way, as well. But come in, compete. Albano didn't heal up from a surgery as we all hoped. And I mean, we got to find our kicker one way or the other.
That's right.
Looks like we found him.
Yeah. Let's see here. Any final thoughts on USC? We talked about the defense, the offense. I thought looked better. Special teams is still unbelievably inconsistent all around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say every phase of this team has good aspects and aspects we still need to fix. So it's like, it's hard to point the finger at one specific thing and be like, this is why we're losing football games. But my biggest takeaway is the offense did look smoother, and there was a little bit more of a rhythm. We didn't score, which sucks, but I mean, it looked different, which I liked.
Yep. I mean, our offense isn't the unit that gave up 450 offensive yards and let a running back, middle of the pack, Big Ten running back have a career day.